In a world where retro gaming meets modern innovation, the Modretro Chromatic emerges as a self-proclaimed game changer. Today we'll dive into this remarkable device, exploring the enchanting tales of Monsterland DX and the complete experience with the Koss Porta Pro X Modretro on-ear headset. The Modretro Chromatic is a premium handheld device designed with the intention of being a very premium device for those Game Boy enthusiasts out there. Its magnesium alloy shell provides a robust yet lightweight feel, ensuring durability for years to come. The lab-created synthetic sapphire screen cover offers exceptional scratch resistance, preserving the console's pristine appearance. So let's dive into the hardware and find out why this thing is $200.
It's that $200 because this thing is made of premium materials here. The screen is behind that fantastic glass with a 160 by 144 pixel backlit display. It's got a fantastic large, heavy D-pad that is squishy and not clicky, A and B buttons that are squishy, start and select buttons that are also squishy, along with tons of branding on the front face of the device here. And this thing comes in a bunch of different colors. On the right hand side of the device, they've made some more good decisions. A menu button for the very minimal on-screen menus that is squishy. A volume wheel that is an actual volume pot. On the left-hand side of the device here, we have the original Game Boy Color ports here for accessories or link cables, along with the left and right of the device having those little keychain holders for either a lanyard or all of the chromatic games come with a little greeble to put on here. The top of the device, we have that little, I think it's an IR reader spot. I've never used it, but they have that, along with another good decision that they've made, which is the on and off toggle switch. This is not a button to turn it on, but a toggle. These are fantastic, and this one is designed incredibly well. I don't know why gaming devices don't have these anymore. The physical tactile controls of turning things on and off is awesome. More people do this, please. Moving down the back side of the device, we have the cartridge slot, which takes Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and the Modretro cartridges. Moving down the back, we have a battery compartment, which is the most over-engineered battery compartment I've ever seen, and it's fantastic. Spot for 3 AA batteries, all facing the same direction, which is very interesting. They had to pay extra for the circuits to move around the back side of the board here. Along with the back battery cover, which has a fantastic latching mechanism that feels good, and these rubber inserts so that the batteries sit on something and don't move. Those things are in there really solid. I also noticed that there are some pads there that could probably be wired up for a battery or something else. We haven't heard anything else from Modretro, and I'm gonna go just sticking voltages all willy-nilly. On the bottom of the device here, we have more quality of life improvements here. We have a USB-C port that's for charging and data, but we don't have a chargeable battery yet, a headphone jack, and a fantastic speaker with speaker grill that is very, very loud. It's very nice. This thing feels like an absolute brick in your hands.
So that is a lot of fancy hardware, and to pair with this fancy hardware, well, this isn't an emulator, so there isn't any games that you can just load onto here from your computer. So Modretro actually went and put Tetris in the box, and it's a fancy version of Tetris that they kind of zhuzhed up and put on a cartridge, in addition to offering their own games from Modretro, and they did a really good job on these cartridges. So let's go into the Modretro software and look at that as a whole and see kind of why we're at this price point in addition to all the other cool games that they're making.
So Modretro isn't actually a game developer themselves, they are a publisher. So they've published 10 other games to cartridges that you can buy, and they're putting the Chromatic logo on the side there, which I think is really cool because they're giving smaller developers, or usually just a single person, a chance to put a game out on a console and see it in the wild. While Tetris comes included in the box, I actually ended up picking up Monsterland DX, which is a side-scrolling adventure game where you can turn into different types of animals. I thought this was a pretty cool one. The other interesting thing I noticed is the games themselves will actually work on regular hardware, so if you don't have the Chromatic but still want to try out the games on some hardware, you can pick these up for the Game Game Boy Color too. In addition to that, all of your regular Game Boy and Game Boy Color games will work on this device, and you have different options in the settings menu to change different screen options, blending, and many other things. They also just released the Chromatic firmware update utility. And this piece of software is awesome. I see why they're charging so much for this console, because every little piece of the puzzle here between the box and the software on the computer to update things and the interface of the device has been really thought over, and you can tell this is going to cost money. A lot of the times, updaters or anything basic like this gets overlooked. The form and function and fun of the device, every little piece of this experience has been touched, and I think they did a really good job on the software. This also includes multi-cartridges as well, and I know some people don't like that. This one actually will play your multi-cartridges just fine. I had no issues loading up any of my games and using the overlay from the cartridge, which I think is really nice, because even though I want a cartridge experience, I don't want to have to carry around all of the different cartridges with me, maybe just 2. And that's really it for software. This is only going to be playing Game Boy and Game Boy Color games along with the Modretro ported games that you can pick up. Oh, and I did also check weird cartridges, so like cartridges that have like a rumble feature, they also work on here. And I also tried the little worm light too, that also works. So that means the link port here is going to work just fine as well, if you're getting into some Pokemon trading on the bus.
So now that you know everything about the software that this device is able to play, you know that it doesn't play a whole ton of software, but it plays one set of software, the Game Boy and Game Boy Color games, really well. But to round out this whole experience, now that you have some new games you can play on this hardware, or even a regular Game Boy, because it's the same style of cartridge, you need something to listen to it, because that single speaker, while way better, is not as good as a stereo headset. So let's take a look at the Koss Modretro version of headphones.
And I think Modretro did a really good job of pairing a set of headphones to this console that matches the theme and then also coloring them yourself. So if you don't know, the Koss Porta Pros are a set of headphones that was introduced in 1984, and they've just still been making them because they're that good. They are dirt cheap. Koss is selling them for around 20 to 30 bucks, and the Modretro versions are 50 bucks if you want the fancy colorways. But what this does is take your Game Boy experience from mono speaker to stereo speakers, and these headphones are awesome because they're super portable, and it's an incredibly open listening experience. These drivers sit basically right on your ear, and there's no separation between them, so they just have a piece of foam and then the driver. So they feel incredibly light, and the sound's really good because the actual size of the driver is way larger. So the difference between this and earbuds is this driver is way larger, giving it the option to bring all the hertz all the way down and give you more bass and more treble when needed. I think these are a cool addition to this and really fills out the retro nostalgic vibe, even if you haven't had a set of these before. I have 3 at this point that have been kicking around since I was in middle school, and I still use them for even video production now. They're just a great set of headphones.
And do you know what also has incredible clarity? The FPGA market. They know what they're doing when it comes to these Game Boys now. The FPGA from Funny Playing and the FPGA from Analog are all in the same category now, but this thing brings a different feel than they do altogether. So let's look a little bit further into what the competition for this device will actually be.
And the direct competitors here are the Analog Pocket and the Funny Playing FPGA-BC kit. Now, they do offer completely different things. The Chromatic is $200 and comes in a wide variety of colors and is mostly sold out now, but is also sold in GameStop, so you actually get something store-facing probably no one else has seen before if they're not on the internet looking at this stuff. The next up is the Analog Pocket, but that one has a completely different take on this. This one's going for extreme resolution and is around the same price at $220, but this will play Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance cartridges right out of the box. But it also works with cartridge adapters for other systems like Game Gear, Neo Geo Pocket Color, the Lynx, and that's all done with FPGAs, no emulation. So the feel is just a little bit different. And the Funny Playing kit is also again completely different. This one is a build-yourself type of kit, and this one comes in at $80. You're going to need the kit itself, which is the main board, the screen, speaker, and battery all wired together. So you don't have to do any soldering, but you're going to have to put it all together in the case, which I thought was a fun experience because you can choose your color, your buttons, your membranes, and make it exactly what you want, so I went with clear. All in, you're looking at under $100 to get this FPGA up and running, but this one will only do Game Boy and Game Boy Color cartridges. While it's also been hit or miss with some of the different multi-carts, the one I have though works pretty well. In addition to this having a completely different screen, and there's a bunch of different options for making it up to 4x resolution or different things. We also have emulators to contend with here, but they don't play any of your retro game collection. They're just going to run off of SD cards, which you're going to have the files yourself to basically create your collection. So if you're not interested in that, then you're going to have to go with something that you can easily plop your own cartridges into, which is pretty much the three we just talked about. I think Chromatic did a great job of putting this together and making the whole package feel like a polished experience. Now, it's expensive when you the games and also the headphones into this package, but it does really feel like a Game Boy Color of the new age.
It's a testament to modern technology and how we can revive old games and technology to bring them up to the current 2025 status and make it feel like a new thing again. I can hear and see these things that were designed many years ago just in a completely new light and audio experience. It's very cool. I like this package. It is expensive, but don't worry. That's why we are making sure to give away other handhelds if you can't afford this one. So subscribe down below if you're interested in winning one of those handhelds. We give one away every month because they're filling my basement and I don't know what to do with them. And that's all I have for you today.